On this week's episode of Shootin the Breeze, we just had the anniversary of the Washington tornado from 2013. We'll take another look back at that horrific storm system. Plus, big changes on the horizon just in time for Thanksgiving and as we head into December. So we'll break it all down for you on this week's episode of Shootin the Breeze. And as always, the episode is brought to you by the CI Proud to Go weather app. Download it today for your exclusive Viper Alerts, location-based warnings, personalized updates, also our winter weather map room, which may come in handy here in the next couple of weeks. Find it in the App Store today. And while you are at it, download the WMBD Plus app, now available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV, so you can stream all of our local news content, as well as this show. All right, I am now joined by meteorologist Molly Naisland.
That's me.
Meteorologist Nathan Kitchens.
Hello.
How are you two lovely folks doing today?
I'm good.
Pretty good.
Thanksgiving is just around the corner.
Exactly.
It's scaring me. Not that Thanksgiving is scary, but
November, like Halloween was just here.
Yeah.
November has just, I don't know, it's just been like a flash.
I feel like December's going to go even faster. And then, of course, we get into the new year, and January and February take 2 years apiece to get through.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. It's cold and it's supposed to snow, but it doesn't snow, which means
You're
Nathan
mad.
and I are going to be miserable.
Throwing Nerf balls at the weather models.
So big show today. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of chatter on social media. Obviously, the Washington tornado is how we're going to kick this off. We just had its anniversary. I was a little, I was a little torn on how much I wanted to talk about this because we kind of, bring it up every year. And we did the big 10-year anniversary a few years ago, which is where a lot of our graphics here are coming up on. But I think there's enough people who still like to talk about it, either as a form of therapy or from just an interest standpoint, because it was an interesting event. But there's also there's those people who just want to move on with their lives because it was probably the worst day of their life. And so it's all understandable. So we're not going to kind of dwell on this, but I do want to just kind of take it through the event because it's something unique and it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen often, and it probably won't happen again for a very long time. So, but we'll kind of discuss that. So, Molly, we will let you kick off on this day in weather history.
This is going to be a team effort. We're going to kick things off with the base level stats from this event. So yes, November 17th of 2013, this tornado caused a lot of damage across several counties in central Illinois. I think it was, 2 or 3?
I went from, it started in Peoria County and lifted in Livingston County. At least the supercell, the 2 tornadoes the storm produced.
Yeah, this went through several counties. So the damages totaled $935 million in 2013, but adjusted to 2024-2025 numbers, that's $1.23 billion in damage. 125 people were injured, and there were 3 fatalities from this storm.
Yeah, so I remember watching this unfold on TV. I was still in Wyoming working out there. I was watching the Weather Channel back then is what I typically did on a Sunday morning. And I watched this thing unfold there, and I'm like, boy, I'm glad I'll never have to deal with that because I had no intention on living this far east or this far into Tornado Alley.
Welcome.
I know. Yeah. And I was like, I'll never have to deal with that. Never going to live there. I always thought I was going to stay out west because that's, I knew I know mountain meteorology quite well. But as fate would have it, not only do I live here, I actually live in Washington. So kind of funny how that goes around.
It was destined. It was destined.
I guess so. But I'll tell you what, man, as a Washington resident, and when I got here in 2015, so just 2 years after the fact, when I got here in 2015, there were still homes that had the blue tarps because they were still trying to rebuild. There were lots that were still getting cleaned up in the wake of the storm. So that was surreal still seeing that a couple of years after, but the growth, right? You go there now, you honestly probably wouldn't know. It's built back the community, the resilience of this community continues to just, I don't think you get that everywhere. So it's something to be said about the people of Central Illinois, certainly the people of Washington, and just the community involvement and everybody coming together for what was a terrible situation and getting Washington back on its feet. So, big kudos to all of you involved. Obviously, I wasn't really here for any of that, but the community has bounced back in a big way. All right, so let's kind of get into what led up to this. How were the forecasts? Which this was a pretty well forecasted event.
It's just an odd day overall.
It's just a firm reminder that when things line up, and it doesn't mean every time it gets warm in central Illinois you're going to get storms. I know we get people who will see that. They'll see 60s or 70-degree days show up on a map in November or early December, and then it's like, oh my Lord, bad things happen when we get that warm. A lot of things still have to line up. So we've had some pretty warm days this month, and there was nothing but sunshine. So we've had some pretty cold days too, but a lot of things have to line up. This was one of those unfortunate events where a lot of things did indeed line up. So here's a look at the severe weather outlook. This was the day 4 outlook by SBC, and you can see eastern Illinois, and it does include portions of central Illinois. We're kind of highlighted there in the risk area.
Is this a different color palette than
Yes,
what they
this
do
is
now?
before this was like a year before or 2 years before they went to the enhanced
Okay.
look. The day 3 outlook, they had a slight risk over eastern Illinois.
So this is by that Friday.
Yep. And then they got the day 2 outlook that expands and it grows and they expand into a high risk by the day 1 outlook. And that high risk pushes all the way back into central Illinois, basically right up towards the Illinois River.
I have a question for you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, I mean, I feel like I know the answer, but do you think that if this event had happened 1 year later, when they had the different color table, when they had added the enhanced risk, do you think this map would have still reached a high risk?
Yes, it would have been.
Okay.
It was a high risk map. It may have been more focused, probably more into Indiana coverage wise, but for what was normal in terms of the typical criteria, this was certainly a high risk, and it would have been a high risk day, I think. And you'll see that here in the reports. I just think the high risk probably would have been, there would have been less Illinois included in that, but
So we still would have been in
we
the
would have been moderate.
Yeah.
We would have still been in a moderate, just because of the high tornado potential. You'll see it's the coverage at the end of the day across Illinois was, even though we had probably one of the most significant tornado of the day, the coverage here was a little more sparse because it was early in storm development. So the forecast officially called for strong and or long track tornadoes. Once you get that wording, you're usually in that moderate to high risk category regardless of how many there's going to be. It just comes down to, okay, where's the greatest potential for those tornadoes? So SBC, again, did a pretty good job in the days leading up to this. This was a well-forecasted event. It did not catch anybody off guard necessarily. We had our first tornado touchdown officially in Peoria County, but tracked across the river, again, dispelling the myths that tornadoes don't cross rivers. But it started doing damage in Pekin, and that was a picture of that there. And you can see some of the pictures of the damage there in Pekin, sent in by Lori Preston. All right, let's fast forward. This is now the Washington tornado well underway. You can see the kind of damage there, taking out radio towers. That is exceptionally strong winds to do that, and then wiping homes completely off of their foundations. Again, solid EF4 damage here. Cinder block foundation there. So if that was something that was maybe not cinder block, it may have withstood a little bit better, but these are old farmhouses and such. So let's talk about the overall setup for this particular event. So we had it was an unusually balmy day. And if you talk to anybody from that day, they'll tell you, yeah, it was warm. It was very warm. It's just temperatures were in the 60s, 70s, and it was humid for November standards. And that's because we had a good fetch of moisture gradually streaming north, all from the Gulf of Mexico. All the while, we had a cold front approaching from the west. That cold front, and some people might look at this and you look at the upper level data and be like, man, that must have been a big storm system. It was actually a very subtle shortwave, but that shortwave had a lot of cold air with it aloft, and that was the key component here. So a lot of times when it gets warm this time of year, the atmosphere aloft is not necessarily cold enough to really cause the instability that's required for thunderstorms. It's when you get that colder air aloft that now you've really destabilized the environment. And often the times when we talk severe weather in central Illinois or we're talking about a missing ingredient, that's usually a big part of it. The air aloft just isn't cold enough. It's a little bit easier in the spring and fall to get some of that colder air moving in because you're in a transitional period between your winter and summer months. But you can kind of see this. Here's an example of this. So we had this big pocket of cold air aloft. We had what we called a negatively tilted jet trough, kind of shooting over central Illinois, and that just hits at the right time. And once that cold air moves in, that warm, humid air at the surface has nowhere to go but up. And that rising motion leads to the thunderstorms. Those thunderstorms are rotating violently because of the strong shear, and everything lines up for a perfect severe weather event. So you get a rapidly destabilizing environment over central Illinois. A surface low just to the west, you get a little bit more of a southeasterly component to those surface winds. Meanwhile, the winds a couple hundred feet off the ground are out of the southwest and blowing very, very quickly given the strong jet stream. So all the ingredients are in place for tornadoes. So let's talk about the first one. This is the Pekin, it's the Pekin tornado. Officially did touch down in Peoria County, though. So people need to remember that rivers don't do anything to stop these. It touched down. It had a width of 100 yards, kind of went through northern neighborhoods of Pekin. It was rated an EF2. Now, the storm did lift, or the tornado did lift, but the mesocyclone remained intact. The storm continued to rotate, and then we get the main event out of this with the primary tornado with an EF4, half-mile wide, and it was on the ground for more than 46 miles, from Tazewell County through Woodford County, into LaSalle County, and not lifting until nearly an hour after the fact in Livingston County. So here's kind of a breakdown of the storm tracks. You can see the triangles signify the type of damage. So you can see where the EF2 damage was here. I'll zoom in here on the map. In Pekin, just off of Sheridan Road. So there's some of the EF2 reports. So that was fairly early on in that tornado's lifespan. And I think this will take me, we'll go over here to the Washington track. So it lifts over, this is 98 Edgewater Drive, and then it touches back down here, East Peoria for references right here. So it just touches down, it tracks through over here. Our competitors at News 25 are in that area, and then that continues, the tornado continues to track through, passing through parts of East Peoria, and then it goes right through the heart of Washington. Now, at the time, prior to Washington, it was still producing EF3 damage here in rural parts of East Peoria. And then once it got up into Washington, this is where we see the EF4 damage, and it's consistent EF4 damage all through town. The golf course, I guess, is probably the one part of town where you're still seeing signs of the tornado. There's a tree there that's pretty busted up after that. But all these neighborhoods have rebuilt, obviously, and they look fantastic. For reference here, you've got the high school over here. You've got Central Primary, right here, and Central Intermediate School right in there. And then from there, it moves on. And we're still seeing EF4 conditions here as it moves through rural parts of Tazewell County up into Woodford County. We're getting EF3 damage. And then we start seeing more EF2 to EF3 caliber type reports all the way up into LaSalle and Livingston County. So very long track event. These, again, are very rare, these type of tornadoes. They just don't happen often. We get a lot of tornadoes in central Illinois. We've had a lot, as Molly's going to show you here this year. A lot of those tornadoes tend to be on the weaker side. So here's a look at the storm reports. These are the tornado reports. And, Molly, you asked, do I think it would have been a high risk? Yes, I just probably think it probably would have been centered more over Indiana. But
yeah, in Indiana, this was the second largest tornado outbreak in history as far as the number of tornadoes in a single day.
Yep. And so, a lot of the cells started in Illinois, but they really ramped up. And that's just the tornado reports. We throw in the hail reports, and we had some very large hail report in Bloomington, for instance, but no tornado there. And then the wind reports just very, very high, because once these things started to line out a little bit, become linear, they produced a ton of wind. But overall, in total, you had just under 700 confirmed tornado reports. I think these are the confirmed reports. Severe reports. So just under 700, and you can almost draw a bullseye here across where the bulk of these reports are. But certainly the moderate risk easily verifies here. And I think, look, I've told people, if the Washington tornado didn't happen that day, Illinoisans would have seen that as a busted forecast.
Yeah.
But it only takes one to change the perception. And there are still some people. I wasn't here for that, but I wouldn't be surprised. There are people complaining that they were on TV at 11 o'clock in the morning covering a tornado on a Sunday afternoon, for football, because it wasn't impacting them. But I'm just throwing that out there. It's just the kind of world we live in.
2013 was an odd year for weather.
So that's that. It's a big event. It's one that hits close to home for a lot of people in central Illinois. But the good news is I don't see any signs of anything like that anytime soon.
Thank goodness.
And I don't even see severe weather anytime soon, to be honest. But we can't let our guard down, because we've seen it. 2018 still comes to my mind for one of the weirdest situations, where we had a blizzard the week after Thanksgiving, or the week of Thanksgiving, the weekend following Thanksgiving, and then we had a biggest December severe weather outbreak the week after. So
That was also a weird year.
yep, I don't foresee that happening this year, but you never know. Weird things do happen.
Don't jinx us,
Yep,
please.
I'm knocking on all the wood I can find. There's a lot of plastic in here, but
No, I think that these desks
underneath,
are wood.
a little plywood. Anyway, things are not looking too severe. But Molly, this is our second severe weather season. We will take a quick break, and then we will kind of dive into that. And Molly put together a full summary. It took her a while. States where we stand across the country in terms of tornado touchdowns. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. We'll go back to that here. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a second. All right, let's get to it. Molly, you put a lot of work into this.
I believe after I put in all of that work, I even wrote a note in our rundown that said, please use this.
Please
I
use
worked
this.
so hard.
She's texting me over the week. It's like, how did you? She's like, it's like tedious. I'm like, oh yeah. There's a reason I
no,
haven't updated it
I'm
in
not
months.
even the one that built it. He's the one that built it.
It was my brainchild. It was a good idea when we only had a handful of states with tornadoes. But
Now we have like 45.
yes. So, all right. So Molly, take us into this is going to be our 2025 Illinois tornado stats.
Yep, so this is 2025 tornadoes. Illinois has seen 136. Of course, you see the obvious numbers, that peak in March, April, May, and June, and then they drop off as we go into late summer and head on into early fall. So, yeah, pretty typical. We see a lot of tornadoes in the spring.
Yep. This usually was a peak seasons April, May, and June, but lately it's been kind of
It's
March,
bumped
April.
up a little, yeah.
Yeah, just a tad earlier.
We get busy by late March a lot of times.
Yeah, here's the average, kind of.
Yeah.
But you notice how we go from April, May, and June, and then we drop, and then we go back up in
A little
October,
bit.
November, and December. That is our secondary tornado season here in the Midwest area. It's kind of part of typical Tornado Alley. It's bumped a little bit further to the east, and then as we get into winter, like dead of winter almost, and then early spring, that's when Dixie Alley starts to see their season. So there's kind of a season for someone all over the place, but for us, it's usually in the spring.
Yep.
Spring is a big
Spring is
transitionary
our big,
time.
spring is our big severe weather season. But yeah, we do see, and look, it's usually one day, right? There's maybe one day where
Big outbreak.
we get some sort of severe weather outbreak. Last week, or just a couple days ago, there was hail, very large hail reported just to our south out of those storms. I don't think we had any tornado reports.
Yeah, and these tornado numbers have been way up these last few years. I mean, you
Oh,
look at the
yeah.
average 58. We just talked about that we've had 136 this year, and this has been a trend. The year before that, also way up there compared to average.
Yeah, it's been very active. Our cold season, so our November, December, January timeframe, we've seen more tornadoes in the last decade during that. I don't know if that is a continuing trend or if that's just a blip. We'll see how things go over the course of the next decade. But at least for now, we've had at least a few more. Not an alarming number, but we've had more tornadoes in early winter, late fall. It's just an interesting data point. The 2018 event was so significant that it actually bumped up our December stats by that I believe used to be 0 because the number was so small.
Probably,
Oh
yeah.
boy.
The number was so small that on average you had no tornadoes. I mean, there would be one here and there, but it was like 0.2. But because we had 29 tornadoes across the state on December 1st, 2018, it was enough to alter the December stats and bump it back
And
up to 2.
then we had another December outbreak in 2022.
Yep.
2022
Yeah,
in
yep.
southern Illinois.
Yep. So
This is still, Illinois tornado stats. So
Yep. So it does happen. It's just a friendly, reminder that we still got to remain vigilant. I can't remember the last time I actually really talked severe weather locally, other than a
it's been a
one-off, random rogue thunderstorm in the summer. So we get a little out of practice. Yeah, once we hit June and July, we're like, okay, it's just hot, and we're gonna.
Yeah, we had that. I feel like we had that big outbreak. Was it like June 18th? I want to think it was like June 18th of this year. And then right after that, a big ridge set in, and we got really, really hot. And then it seemed like after that, we just did not get much more severe weather. It was just a hot, humid spell, or a hot, humid season for us, and the severe weather really backed off starting in July.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty typical.
especially with what type of severe weather we end up seeing in the later half of the year. We've talked about that before. We start moving away from cellular structures and we start diving into more linear structures, which can still spawn tornadoes, but not necessarily these longer tract or more significant tornadoes
Right.
like what we would see more often in the spring.
Yeah. All right, so Molly, let's take a look at this map.
This beautiful, beautiful map.
Blood, sweat, and
Work of
tears. So there you go.
I love it.
It's a lot. Look, I started this. I can't remember. I think I updated it in June, and I said, you know what? I'm done.
And then I found
And
it.
then Molly found it. She's like, I'm gonna do this, and then she texted me like, this is super tedious. I said, yes, that's why I haven't
I
updated.
had an idea.
But Molly, you did great. You
Yeah.
did great. I understand your pain you went through to do this, but there you go. Impressive.
Yeah. So as you can see, Texas is in the lead with 157 tornadoes, but we are right behind them with 136, and 2025 is not done yet. Do I think that our number is going to shoot up in the next, several weeks to the end of the year? No. But this is a good summary. Of course, the further west you go, the numbers drop off significantly, but then you've got Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and then North Dakota all the way
Yep.
up there.
That's crazy. Iowa's had 100 fewer tornadoes, which I know Iowa's smaller overall than Illinois, but still, it's not that far away.
They had a pretty active. I thought they had an active. Maybe that was last year. They
It
had
was last
The last
year.
couple years have been more active for them, but I think they had maybe one day this year where things went a little bonkers. But Missouri, Illinois, I mean, supercells, derecho, we get them all, and it just happens to be. But you can see where the corridor, right, for more tornadoes are between the Rockies, the Appalachians. It's just the perfect area to funnel Gulf moisture. The lack of tornadoes in the southeast, specifically Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, can probably be attributed to the lack of tropical systems this year. Those numbers will probably be up considerably higher otherwise.
And then the sharp difference between North Carolina and South Carolina can be attributed to the fact that North Carolina is bigger.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's
And
a little bit
bit
bigger.
closer to the jet stream in the summer.
Yeah.
So, if I'm not mistaken, I do think this was an active year for Alberta and Saskatchewan tornado-wise too. I don't know the numbers on that, but I just remember
Let's
saying
go up north.
I just remember folks who chase up there saying that they've had a pretty crazy year.
It's kind of crazy the difference in numbers between North Dakota and South Dakota.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Of course, one of those 72 was the Enderlin tornado.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, and I'm wondering, that was a pretty big outbreak too. A lot of tornadoes in a small area. But North Dakota, Northern Plains, and then Minnesota's had some pretty decent. A lot of them tend to be weaker up in the Minnesota, Wisconsin, but every once in a while they get a good sized one coming through.
Then you have Maine and what is it, New Hampshire
New
up
Hampshire,
there with
Vermont,
nothing.
which is probably how it should be. But
You know, if we were counting nor'easters, that number would probably be a lot different.
maybe. Massachusetts had 4. We've had 7 in New York. How about 7 in California? Most of which in California happened in the Sacramento Valley area. That you could get a little wind swirling around in the valleys, so it does help storms spin up a little bit.
A little swirly whirly.
Yeah, I don't think that's as unusual as it may seem. Now, I think 5 tornadoes in Arizona. That's a little more eyebrow raising to me.
That number was 0 the last time this was updated.
So there you go.
Yeah. And then 157 in Texas is partially attributed to the size.
The size of Texas, yeah.
But still, 157 and then 136 in Illinois.
If you were to do a per cap, like per square mile, Texas would be much lower on the list there. Illinois would be quite high.
Yeah.
But
This current number is not record breaking. It is close though.
we're one outbreak away.
Yeah,
I
it
think,
is
from
close.
seven.
What's our record? 142?
It's somewhere it's in the low 140s
Was
or
that
the high
last year?
130s. Yeah,
No, I thought that was 2 years
might
ago.
have been 2 years. Again, the last 3 years we've been in that 130 to 140 range consistently for the last 3 years.
You know what it was? The 1 year. What year did we have that July derecho?
Last year.
Last year.
Was that last
I think
year?
that was yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
we had
and that bumped our numbers up significantly.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And then nothing in West Virginia, because West Virginia is a very mountainous, very hilly. West Virginia doesn't get much in terms of tornadoes. They get other stuff, though.
But yeah, their problem
More wind and hail,
Yeah.
and rain.
tons of rain.
Yeah,
Tons
that's
of
a
rain.
bigger problem out there.
All right, well, hey, we're going to shift gears here. It has been a mild November, even though it may not seem like it. And we've got a big old pattern change, maybe a bad pattern change, if you're
A
Molly.
big bad pattern change.
Heading our way here as we kind of get into Thanksgiving and the following weekend. We will be breaking that down, all coming up after a short break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. We have had a pretty nice November. We had some cool air to start. There was a small cold stretch here and there, and then it's been warm, relatively warm. Relative to normal. So Nathan, why don't you take us away here? How have things been shaping up this November?
Yeah, not too bad. We are definitely seeing a lot of days warmer than average. You can see we did start the month pretty cold around the 1st and the 2nd, but then we saw that warm up the first week of the month. And aside from a little cool spell around the 9th and 10th, we saw another warming trend. And you see those temperatures very mild overall. For the month, we kind of had some big ups and downs. You see that 13 below average there on the 9th, and you see the temperatures that were 18 above average on the 15th. So we balance out the cold and the warm. We are only about a degree, just over a degree above average here, which is actually surprising. I figured that would be a little bit higher. So our average temperature is about 45 and a half. And you notice the last few days, I know it has not felt warm. We have to keep in mind our average temperatures continue to drop, and we've had a very cloudy pattern as well. So that's skewing our nighttime low. So the last couple of days, we've had low temperatures a good 10, 15 degrees warmer than average, while our high yesterday was pretty much where the average high is for this time of year. We just haven't seen much of a spread from night to day. So that's what cloud cover will do, and that's been the bigger influence in really keeping nighttime lows warmer, skewing the daytime temperatures above average for this time of year. And you can see our precipitation. Yeah, we're still kind of following that trend that we've been in of not seeing as much as we should be receiving. You can see we have picked up a couple of systems here. We did see some decent rain the 7th and the 8th of the month. We can see about 3,100 there on the 7th, 3/10 of an inch on the 8th. And then we had another round of rain early this week. Again, nothing to really write home about, but about a 1/4 inch that came through Monday night into Tuesday. So we're running about just under 9/10 of an inch below where we should be for this point in the month.
Yep. And I know we do have some additional rain on the way. And let's not forget
That one day it's
our one. Hey,
Yeah.
starting off strong. 0.3 inches in the bank.
Which I was surprised at departure. We're actually running 3/10 below average now.
Yep.
So
So there you go. There you go. I think by the end of November, we average about 1.5 inches. So,
yeah, roughly 1.5 inches.
so yep. There you
There's still time. To
There's
make
still
it up.
time.
It just takes one system.
We'll
Maybe
get
at the
into
end of the month.
You never know. Maybe we'll get some flurries. So that does speak. We are talking about there's a change coming around Thanksgiving. And if you have been on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is that you're on social media, you've probably heard about Armageddon heading our way.
Yes.
Here in the next 2 weeks.
Oh,
It is
isn't it
2 feet of snow.
Snowmageddon?
Yeah, Snowmageddon. Look, it's going to get colder. It's not that cold. It's just kind of like I saw somebody say it's supposed to be 30 to 40 degrees below average. I'm like, where are you? Where is that,
would be
coming
wild.
from? And that was actually from a Met. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Some of the it's surprising what some
I
people are
thought
posting.
you were going to say 30 to 40 below zero. And I'm like,
no, just
"Huh?"
below average. It's not. I'm like 30s and 40s for highs. So it's going to get colder this upcoming week. It's not the worst. It's not record setting. It's going to be about 10 to 15 degrees below average here for central Illinois. So again, you're going to be like, this is it. Exactly. That's going to be my reaction. This is it. So let's kind of talk about this upcoming pattern change because it is, it is a change. It's been relatively mild, as Nathan was just talking about, and you can see the temperatures are starting to drop. And I actually think in my forecast, I think I even knocked those temperatures down a little bit more for Thanksgiving.
We
So
got to add a dancing turkey.
we're
on
going to add the dancing
Thanksgiving.
turkey. We're going to get the turkey going. We're going to get, so there you go. But it's been nice. We got a pretty good stretch of weather. This weekend looks fabulous, by the
It
way.
does. Really nice.
And then we got some rain moving in early next week. Keyword rain. I don't see any snow up until around or after Thanksgiving.
Potentially. Yeah, and you
Potentially.
and you probably noticed all the clouds in the forecast this week. And, it's been dreary. Some of that is related to the fact that we're getting into the winter. We get a lot of more temperatures inversions that are
Yep.
more frequent and harder to mix out as we get into the winter because of the longer nights. We could talk a whole podcast just about that. So
Yep.
You got to go
How about-
outside this weekend and get your dose of vitamin D.
yeah, I have a little explainer on my Facebook talking about why it's been cloudy, what causes these cloudier
Yep.
trends, why this is a cloudy season. But yeah, sunshine. Oh, it's gonna be so nice. Saturday, Sunday.
Soak it up, folks. Soak it up. All right, so here's the pattern change that we've been alluding to. I've had similar maps like this kind of posted on my social media page. I've been showing them on air as well. The storm we're keeping an eye on, and I'll put storm in quotes because it's a storm system, but it's not going to be terrible. It is going to be bringing some rain to the area late Monday afternoon, Monday evening through Tuesday night. The exact timing of this is still somewhat in flux, but basically late Monday through Tuesday night, we should have some rain moving across central Illinois. Behind that, we are going to see the system help pull down some much colder air that's sitting north of the Canadian border. Now, it's not frigid temperatures. We're not talking, highs in the 20s and teens or
Not
colder.
the polar vortex.
It's not the polar vortex. It's just it is a good slug of winter-like air. It's not all that uncommon here in central Illinois, but once that system moves out, we do start to tap into it. Now, I think there's a lot of people out there who have oversold this as a big Arctic outbreak. That is incorrect. What's going to end up happening is this is probably going to come through in waves. So we're going to get an initial push coming in here around Thanksgiving, and that'll probably persist into the weekend to some degree. And I'm looking at highs maybe upper 30s to low 40s from Thanksgiving on through the weekend and then into early December. We'll probably then warm up at some point as there'll be another system moving across. And if we end up on the warm side of that system, it's not all that wouldn't be that unusual. Actually, we get a really big warm up, like 50, 60 degree temperatures for a day or two. And then the cold comes back in with vengeance, right? So just set your expectations that, hey, it's going to be colder. This isn't the end of the world. Some of the stuff that is out there has just been absurd. It's making our jobs harder to actually to kind of, and I don't think these pages realize it, but There's just a lot of confusion. I've got people contemplating whether or not they need to cancel doctor's appointments that have been scheduled for months.
Nuts. Yeah, I had somebody. In fact, my mom, which she should know better. I saw this post
Yes.
that we're gonna get 8 to 12 inches of snow. What are we gonna do today after Thanksgiving? I'm like, Mom, no.
Yeah, see, I don't think these pages realize this, that there are, they don't see, people don't reach out to them for that. They reach out to us, and we're like, look, no, that's not going to happen. Don't cancel your appointments. There are real effects to this, and I think people need to take that a little more seriously, and you can help by not sharing it. You want to go look at weather models, email me, and I will send you a link to go view it.
Yeah,
it's all
have fun.
ready. It's right there. You can go look at it yourself. You don't need to share this crap on social media. So, and I'm not going to call pages out. It's just not worth my time and effort. But look, we will occasionally mess up. We'll make a bad forecast. Things aren't going to happen. Inadvertently, we'll overhype a situation. It's not something we make a habit of. It's not something we're going to make a habit of. We're pretty consistent, and I've been pretty consistent for the last 4 days on highs in the 30s and 40s. And people are like, that's not what I'm seeing. People are talking 30 to 40 degrees below average. I mean, no. So, and it's a common issue. I could share an outrageous post on social media and have it go viral, but what is that? That doesn't help anybody. So I'm sure our digital team would love it
Yes,
if
they
I wrote
would,
something like that
please.
and posted on our, but there's some accountability here. So just think before you share. You can believe what you want. Just remember that when it doesn't do what you saw, don't get mad at us because it wasn't. We get that a lot too, and we often have to answer for forecasts that we didn't make. So I'll get off my little soapbox there, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. All right, so let's talk about the end of the week here, and then we get into, or the end of next week, excuse me, and into early December. And the Climate Prediction Center, they've been kind of hinting at this colder weather pattern. It's been in their 3-week outlook for the last couple of weeks. A pretty good sign that it is going to be colder. Now, it's not necessarily going to stay cold, right? And I think a lot of people say, oh, it's just going to be cold for all those days. No, just on average, when you average the temperatures, like on our calendar, there's going to be a lot, on that period between November 28th and December 4th is likely going to be below average temperatures. There might be a day or two where it does warm up, but that's usually because there's a storm system coming on through. Precip, a lot of folks reach out about the precipitation opportunities. I'm not completely sold on above average precipitation. They are leaning above average here in the Climate Prediction Center's outlook. I'm not convinced we see that because it really depends on the storm track, which right now is all over the place when you look at this window of opportunity. So is it possible we get above average moisture? Sure. I wouldn't rule it out. And if we do, with some established cold, we might even be talking about a little bit of snow. So here's the leading into December. If we remember our December, my bold winter prediction last week, and I said, hey, I thought December was going to start off cold. This is kind of in line with that thinking. And I think it kind of is our kickstart into our winter season. So Nathan got this graphic together earlier today, and you can see the Climate Prediction Center is kind of on board with that, thinking that December will end up being a little bit colder for the Midwest and the northern part of the country. All right, so you guys ready to talk snow real quick?
I'm ready.
All right.
No, go ahead.
Let's do
Go
it.
ahead.
I know you don't want any part of this, Molly.
No, listen. If we get more snow than we did last year, I will not be upset. I know that is setting the bar really low.
That is set the bar really
but
low,
like,
Molly.
I'm not going to be upset if we get more snow than we did last year.
All right, so I'm going to show you the probabilities of receiving measurable snow after, basically leading up to and after Thanksgiving. So you can look at this. This is Wednesday, November 26th. We'll start this loop here. No snow is expected at all then. Let's fast forward. We go through Thanksgiving. Now the probabilities start to increase a little bit. We get into Black Friday. There you go. So the probabilities of snow are up to about 10%.
The sled's ready.
This is what Nathan wants.
So does this scream major winter storm to anybody?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
You'll
What
have
is
fun
it-
with the Santa Parade, though, Chris.
Well, look, there's a chance it might snow, but this isn't going to be. We'll see, right? There's nothing we could tell you. There's a chance for snow, but that's about it. And then after that, we kind of see these lingering low 5% probabilities of snow through the end of November and even into early December. So when you look at it as a whole, and this is the European model ensemble, that ensemble says there's a 60% chance that Peoria experiences at least an inch of snowfall through December 5th.
Not bad.
Not necessarily an inch of snow on the ground, snow falling out of the sky. So we could have 5 days of flurries that would have eventually added up to an inch, and this graphic is saying. So what does this all mean? Is it possible that here in the next 2 weeks we get snow? Certainly. In fact, I would not be surprised at all, and I said this yesterday on my Facebook page, I would not be surprised if we get our first widespread accumulating snow event sometime between Thanksgiving and December 5th. Would not be surprising to me. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know how much.
Well, no, Chris, how it comes out of the sky.
No, I know, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay.
Is it going to be a massive storm? Is it going to be 5 days of flurries, or is it going to be
Yeah.
a one punch? I don't know that.
Weak little clipper, a big storm
Don't know.
phased with and we've got Gulf moisture streaming in.
And you might say, well, you're a weatherman, you're supposed to. I'm like, no, I'm not supposed to know something that's going to happen 2 weeks from
No.
now. But I can recognize a pattern that would be supportive of a snow event. So some established cold, check. An active storm track, check. But how many times last year did we see we had established cold, and then the storm track just ended up 50 miles too far
It was
south?
active, just
too
not
many
right over
times.
us.
And that's what I'm saying. So we don't know what we don't know, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you there's going to be a big winter storm.
Yeah.
Don't cancel anything. If you unfortunately, I think the people who need to hear that are not watching this program, because it's probably grandma sharing stuff. Just
no.
if here's a good rule of thumb. If you look at a snow image, if you think your grandma believes it, don't share it. If you believe it, don't share it. And
Good
look
rule
at
of thumb.
look at the source, right? Look, the source is huge.
Chris, you just roasted everyone's grandma in one sentence.
But that's okay. I'll even throw my mom. Look, my mom shares this stuff.
No!
It happened. Everybody shares this stuff. My sister will message me and goes, "Is this real?"
Yeah, my brother-in-law will do it all the time, message me like, "Oh, I saw this. Is this right?"
Yeah.
I screenshotted yesterday an image of it was the 18Z. It's always the 18Z run of the
Always the
GFS.
18Z.
But it was showing this massive winter storm for the day after Thanksgiving, and I just laughed and I screenshotted it. I'm like, I'm gonna screenshot this. I'm gonna revisit this a week from now. If somehow this was actually onto something, I mean,
Yeah.
that would be insane. I'll buy everybody a free pizza.
Look, and some of these pages will claim that, well, we've accurately predicted, even though they say they don't make a forecast, but they'll go, we accurately predicted all the major outbreaks in the last 2 years. Well, when you're sharing every model run showing an absurd winter outbreak, you're bound to get a few, right? Because you're sharing every single one. 90% of those that you share do not come through. In fact, it's probably even more than 90. It's like 95, 98%.
They're taking like a handful of darts and throwing them at a wall. Yeah, one of them
One of
is
them is
going to
gonna
Yeah,
hit
it's
the
like spinning
dartboard.
blindfolded and
Yeah.
throwing a dart.
It's look. Again, if you are somebody who is interested in looking at model data and you want to see those maps, I'll be happy to share the links with you. Just don't share them on social media because it is confusing. And I know people say, well, they just can't read. I'm like, nah, they do read it. But when you say it's not a forecast, and then you put the word but, anything prior to the word but no longer means anything. So it's just words, it's just hype, it's confusion, and at the end of the day, it makes jobs harder for people who are actually trying to give out good information. And again, there's people considering canceling appointments for some of the nonsense they're seeing. And there's these appointments that if they cancel it, they have to reschedule 4 months from now, and they may not be able to do that. So just be responsible. Be responsible. We will make a bad forecast. We'll own up to it. Just that's part of life. We don't need to if we don't need the models making it even harder with the crap they spew out every week.
Yeah, our goal is to show our viewers that you can actually accurately predict the weather. And
Yes.
unfortunately, when these pages share this information, it just discredits the entire weather enterprise, and people look down upon us.
Look, half of you think we control the weather. The other half thinks we can't predict it. So I don't know what's, it's kind of a weird thing.
Wait, are we doing the thing where, okay, since obviously we control the weather, are we spinning
Yes.
around and then throwing a dart at a board, and that's why we can't
Do it every
predict
day.
it?
I don't know.
I haven't. Have you done that, Nathan?
I only I go to the Magic 8 Ball personally. I don't know about you guys.
We should trust the Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah,
Just
that's never wrong.
try again later, yes.
All right. Well, hey, after that, just a little PSA there. It is going to get colder. Nobody's going to tell you otherwise. It's not going to. I am going to tell you, it's not going to be the worst cold outbreak we've seen. It's going to be
We saved that
fairly
for
typical.
January and
Exactly.
February.
January, February. Pretty typical cold coming in for early December. Slightly below average, but if it were to get cold in December, it's kind of what you would expect. And yes, there's probably going to be some, at least, opportunities for snow. Whether it all comes together, we'll see. On average, our first 1-inch snowfall is December 7th in Peoria. Average 2-inch snowfall happens right around Christmas or shortly before. So take those stats for what it's worth. It would not be surprising if it snows here in the next 2 weeks. All right, after that, we've got some fun videos to share coming up after our break. Something that'll warm your heart. Me and Nathan are going to like both videos.
Yes, gonna warm my heart.
But Molly's, I think, particular to the last one.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right, so we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Shooting the Breeze continues after this. All right. So we've been talking snow. We've been talking social media, tornadoes. We've been all over the board, but it's all timely, right? It's all been very, very timely. All right, so let's first. We got a couple videos of the week. This first one, look, I don't know where this dude picked up these dance moves.
I'm jealous.
And look, I'm gonna just say, the dancing is definitely a dad. As a dad,
Is it you in the suit?
look, I cannot confirm nor deny where I was this past weekend.
Oh,
But this is Mammoth Lakes, California. See, this is when Nathan and I want snow. This is what we're talking about.
that is it.
Unfortunately, we are not in the mountains of California, so we are not going to see. And that stuff is wet too.
Ooh, yeah.
That's that wet, heavy stuff. That's that Pacific moisture-laden.
Yeah, even I might agree. That's maybe a little too much.
Yeah, a little much. There's the right idea. So the Mammoth Lake, California, they hit reports receiving 11 to 16 inches of new snow. This was as of Tuesday. So there you go. Fantastic, beautiful. You'd love to see it in California. This is their water supply after all. So keep it coming. Let's let the snow fall and keep it going there across the Sierra Nevada. They were expecting even more snow throughout the day, Tuesday into Wednesday. And they said their ski trails were set to open on Thursday today. So there you have it. So if you are watching, one of our loyal viewers in California, you can go to Mammoth Mountain and get your skiing off. That looks great, though.
Looks fun.
Snowcats, love those. All right. Video clip number 2. I saw this earlier, I think I want to say a couple weeks ago or last week, and it just made me smile.
Oh,
So,
I want
They're
one.
so cute.
red pandas. So,
Oh, they're so cute.
a couple of red panda cubs got to see snow for the first time in their lives at the Tennessee Zoo, or at a Tennessee Zoo. Zoo Knoxville officials say the brothers named Mr. Darcy and Dr. Wallace,
Love it.
appropriate, explored their habitat, enjoyed a snack, and even a short nap in the snow flurries.
Oh, what a dream.
Can I take one home, but I think that is frowned upon. Look at it. They're just like, oh. Wait, look.
Oh, they're so comfy.
They have because they're climbing animals. They've got some big sharp toe claws,
Ooh.
which might be a little problematic if
Maybe.
you,
Yeah, don't
if you
come near
take
me
one
with
home.
that, yeah.
But they're not like cat claws where they're like pokey,
No.
but they
I love
need to be able to
their
grip
color
stuff.
of their fur, the dark underneath and the light up top.
So
and
cute.
Their faces.
Hey, Mr. Darcy, how's this leaf? I don't know, Dr. Wallace. Look at that. I love how this is so cute. Anyway, that's a great heartwarming kicker. So the Red Pandas enjoying some flurries last week there in Tennessee. The same system, by the way, that brought us our, was it last week or the week before?
That was last week, early last week.
There you go.
Yep.
So same system that brought us our little taste of snow. The Red Pandas in Tennessee got to enjoy it. All right, that made me smile. That was a good one. I like that. I don't think my cats would react the same way. Just going to say.
I took Jasper outside one time for snow. I set him down, and he immediately went back inside.
So there
So
you
Yeah,
his
my cats always hated snow.
well, he likes to think that he's an outdoor cat, and then the snow happens, and he goes, "Never mind."
My favorite is, though, are the dogs that love it.
Oh
Yes.
yes.
Their
Certain breeds
owners open
will-
the door and they just run out the front door and they just dive into some
Wallowing
big old
around.
snowpack. And
My
they disappear
Siberian
completely.
husky.
Oh yeah, I love when the owners are trying to get like Malamutes or Huskies back into the building, and they're just like, "No."
Yep, no,
And
they
they're
refuse,
hollering and-
refuse to come in. All right, Molly, you ready to send us out? We had
I-
heartwarming videos there. You ready to break our hearts with whatever crazy joke you got going on this week?
My dad sent me 3 different jokes this week.
Oh, we're getting the
Yeah.
cream of the crop.
Yeah, you're getting top level dad jokes here.
All right, let's see it. Let's hear it.
Of all the things invented in the last 100 years, the dry erase board is the most remarkable.
That one is deep.
I mean, do you want to hear any of the other ones?
Let's save them. Because
Okay.
I don't know if you could top that
Yeah,
one.
we got to end the show on a high
When
note.
I end it,
and-
but let's keep the Molly's dad jokes coming for the next 3 weeks. You got a full supply there, Molly?
I do.
I've got a full supply. All right. Well, with that, we will bid farewell. Thank you all for joining us on this week's episode of Shootin' the Breeze. We will see you next week ahead of Thanksgiving. It's going to be here soon. Take care, everybody.